By the time your child turns 3, chances are high that you've already heard the words, "it's another ear infection." In fact, nearly 5 out of 6 kids will have at least one by that age. And almost every time, the next step is the same, an antibiotic prescription, often within just a few days of diagnosis. Even though we know many ear infections can resolve on their own, the pattern hasn't really changed. Watchful waiting is still the exception, not the rule. What's even more striking is the bigger picture. By the time a child in the United States turns 5, over 90% will have received at least one antibiotic prescription. Let that sink in. This isn't about one illness or one decision. It's about a system that's stuck in reaction mode, treating symptoms quickly without always asking a deeper question. Why does this keep happening? And that question is where the neuroimmune system comes in. Because immune function doesn't operate in isolation. It's regulated, coordinated, and constantly influenced by the nervous system. If we want to understand why sickness and infection keep repeating, why inflammation lingers, and why resilience seems harder to come by for so many kids, we have to zoom out and look at the communication between the brain, the nerves, and the immune response itself. That's what we're going to be unpacking today. Now, most parents are taught to think about the immune system as its own separate thing, something that you can boost with a supplement or vitamins or the right diet. But that's not actually how the body works. So your child's immune system, their nervous system, and hormonal system are not 3 independent systems doing their own jobs. So they function as one integrated unit, what researchers call the neuroendocrine immune system. So a helpful way to picture it is like a 3-legged stool. If one leg becomes unstable, the entire stool wobbles. You don't fix it by only paying attention to the legs that look fine. In this system, the nervous system is the master controller. It is the air traffic controller that tells the immune system when to respond, how big that response should be, and when to shut it back down. When the nervous system is calm and regulated, immune responses are efficient and appropriate. But when the nervous system is stuck in stress mode, immune function becomes chaotic. Some kids become immunosuppressed and catch everything that goes around. And then other kids become hyperreactive. So they're dealing with allergies, inflammation, and overreactions to minor triggers. Many bounce between both extremes. That's why 2 kids can be exposed to the same exact germs in the same environment, and one keeps getting sick, and then the other one doesn't. The difference isn't immune strength, it's actually regulation. There's one nerve in particular that plays a massive role in this process, and most parents have never been taught about it. And that's the vagus nerve. It's the longest nerve in the body, and it's running from the brainstem down through the neck, past the heart and lungs, and into the digestive system, where the majority of the immune system lives. This nerve acts like the immune system's off switch. So when it's working properly, it detects inflammation, evaluates the threat, helps mount a response, and then signals the body to calm down once the job is done. Recovery happens and the body returns to baseline. Now, when the vagus nerve isn't functioning well, kids don't fully shut the response off. It's like a fire alarm that keeps blaring long after the fire is out. Inflammation becomes the baseline instead of the exception. So a simple way to understand this is to think about the nervous system like a car. So the sympathetic system, that's the gas pedal, ramping up stress, defense, and inflammation. And then the parasympathetic system, which is largely controlled by the vagus nerve, is the brake pedal. So it slows everything down and allows healing. Now, many kids today are living with the gas pedal pressed to the floor and a brake pedal that barely works. These are the kids who can't seem to kick the sick. What most parents don't realize is where this pattern often begins. The vagus nerve exits the skull at the upper neck, an area that experiences significant stress during birth. Birth is intense, even when everything goes smoothly. And when interventions are involved, like C-sections, forceps, vacuum extractions, or medication-assisted inductions, the upper cervical spine can experience forces it simply wasn't designed to handle. This can create neurological interference in the upper neck region, what we refer to as subluxation, which disrupts how the vagus nerve communicates between the brain and the body. When that communication is altered early on, a baby's nervous system can get stuck in survival mode before they've ever had the chance to truly regulate. The gas pedal stays on, the brake pedal struggles to engage, and then the immune system loses its main source of direction. What shows up next often gets labeled as a separate problem. Colic that's brushed off as normal, reflux managed with medication, ear infections starting in infancy, constipation that's been there from the beginning. These aren't random or unrelated issues. They actually follow a pattern that points back to the vagus nerve dysfunction and early nervous system stress. And then over time, this doesn't improve on its own. It compounds. Prenatal stress affects a developing nervous system. Birth trauma creates neurological interference. Then comes the early childhood cascade. Repeated antibiotics that disrupt the gut microbiome, environmental toxins, poor sleep, and chronic nervous system stress. Parents get caught in a cycle where fight or flight leads to poor digestion, weakened immunity, frequent infections, more antibiotics, and even more gut and immune disruption. It keeps looping. Kids don't grow out of this pattern, they grow into it. What starts as colic becomes constipation, then recurring ear infections, then chronic immune challenges, and inflammation. The labels change as they get older, but the underlying nervous system dysfunction stays the same. That's why supplements and diet changes often help for a little bit, and then they plateau. You're trying to strengthen the immune system while the control center is still offline. Your child's body is designed to heal, not by forcing the immune system to work harder and not by piling on more supplements, but by restoring the nervous system's ability to regulate immunity the way it is always meant to. When interference is removed, the system can finally do its job. Now, here at E320 Chiropractic, we don't guess. We actually use our insight scanning technology to objectively measure how your child's nervous system is functioning, and then we can see where it's stuck in stress mode. And then from there, we use specific, gentle adjustments focused on the upper cervical spine to reduce that neurological interference and help restore healthy communication through the vagus nerve. That's when the immune system can calm down, reset, and respond appropriately again. For so many kids, it's not that their body is broken, it's that their nervous system has been stuck in survival mode for far too long. And when that tension eases, everything begins to change. If this sounds like your child, we would love to help you get real answers. You can click the link in our bio, you can send us a message, or call E320 Chiropractic to schedule a neurological evaluation. Your child deserves more than being told they'll grow out of it. They deserve to be understood.